This is TJ Legacy, host of the Soapboxx Podcast. The live stream will start shortly, but make sure you like our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and tell all of your friends and family that the most infamous podcast on all your streaming services is about to go live.
TJ, what's goody? It's HB. Can I just big you up real quick with what you're doing with the Soapboxx? Listen, anytime somebody takes their platform to educate and inform the culture of hip-hop with politics, pop culture, doing what you're doing and being responsible with your platform, I can't do nothing but salute you, TJ. Keep doing what it do. Keep repping for the culture. Nothing but love and respect from me, baby. Peace.
Tell me what's really good. It's Peter Rosenberg, Hot 97, ESPN, WWE, Cheap Heat Podcast, all that. Big shout out to my peoples over at the Soapboxx, all right? My man TJ, Legacy Cole, the whole Soapboxx crew. Incredible new podcast, all right? Politics, pop culture, hip hop, even wrestling on occasion. It's all there. So go subscribe and make sure you tune in to the Soapboxx. TJ, what up, man? Appreciate you.
Peace to the planet. Charlemagne the God here. What's happening, TJ Legacy Cole? Salute to you, King. Salute to the Soapboxx Podcast. The Soapboxx Podcast is an independent black media podcast, and they talk hip-hop, politics, pop culture, mental health, social justice, a lot of my favorite subjects. Check them out, man. Tune in, subscribe to them. You never know. I'm out here looking at all the different podcasts that are moving and shaking out here, because, I got the Black Effect Podcast Network, so I'm going to be checking y'all out, TJ. All right? Keep working.
All right, yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Soapboxx Podcast. I am your host, TJ Legacy, and I am joined with the fam. This is a special episode, brother to brother, where I have my man all the way from up north, New York City, Harlem, New Jersey, all that stuff, all that good stuff. My man, Alan York, what's good, man?
Yo, good evening. Pick and roll tonight. I ain't even put the hat on because I'm saying my waves is looking real good. I don't know if you can see that in 3D. See me. You feel me? How you feeling, man?
Yo, I'm good, man. So you just doing the whole poetic Justice Chicago.
Yeah. We just do real slow motion, you know what I'm saying? Let them see what I see. If you look in my eyes, you can see what I see.
Listen, man. Listen, it's been a week. I'm happy to be back on the Soapboxx Podcast as always. For those who are listening to us or watching us on live stream, make sure you follow us, Soapboxx Podcast, with 2X on all your streaming services. We appreciate you, Soapboxx Nation. Also follow us on Instagram, Soapboxx Podcast with 2X. Listen, man, we're going to just freestyle this thing. Appreciate everybody tuning in who are tuning in, or if you decide to listen later on the streaming services, appreciate you. The ladies are not here this week, but they will be coming back next week, and we'll be in full force. Yo, I want to start off by showing you this video real quick. So the show is called Brother to Brother, but it really should be called Brother Where Art Thou? So I don't know what I'm gonna title this episode, but let's start with this video. Check this out.
We'll do some lemon pepper. Lemon pepper. And some onion powder. Onion powder.
Why is the water soapy? What did you do? I said wash the fucking chicken. What is this?
What you mean? I'm washing it.
Taekwon, why is it soap in the chicken? Tom, why is it soap in the chicken? Are you fucking retarded?
How are you supposed to wash the chicken?
Nigga, rinse it off with cold water. You not fucking put this soap in the fuck.
Hey, you didn't say that.
Bro, are you fucking retarded? Your mom cooks. You ain't never watched. You done fucked my dinner up, bro. Like, this one, I'm like doing shit with you. I asked you to do one thing. I ain't say fucking soap the chicken up. Wash it like dishes. I said fucking wash it. You know what? I'm gonna fuck the fucking shit. Like, you fucking dumb. And you done fucked up. I'm gonna just turn all this shit off. You fucked up my whole fucking dinner.
You didn't tell me.
You were fucking irritated.
Okay, but you didn't tell me.
You know how much that fucking chicken costs, bro? You fucking.
Did she tell me like how to make? Bro, did she tell me? Y'all sit there and saw her say wash the chicken. She ain't say nothing. She know I never cooked before.
I'm done.
Hey, come here right quick. No, bro. Man, come here right quick. Why you throw away all the chicken, bro?
Boy, fuck that chicken. It's done. You done fucked it up.
But listen, you didn't tell me.
We don't have no other main course for the dinner or nothing.
And you don't gotta cuss.
Damn, I don't give a fuck. What's that video, bro?
Listen, that video gave me so much relationship anxiety. I was
You have PTSD?
Yo, what'd you say?
I said, did you have PTSD or something?
No, listen, man. I was so triggered by that video. First of all, let's break that shit down. For those who are listening on the actual podcast, we just showed a video of a guy named Taquan and his girl. She's making chicken or cooking dinner, and she told him to wash the chicken. And this dude gonna put the chicken in a pan and put some soap and water because he took it literally.
And wash the chicken.
And wash the chicken. And she gave him a rousing that's verbal assault and just straight emasculated the dude. Like, yo, you think she should have?
Well, here's a couple of things. Her first misstep is
she talked to him like it was his mom. Like she was his mom.
Yes, that definitely gave me mom flashbacks. But one, if this is his first time cooking, I don't think washing the chicken is the task to be given someone who has never cooked before. One, because there's so many ways that people debate about washing chicken, where to wash the chicken, how to wash the chicken. It's just a point of clash. Two, quick question for you, TJ. Would you have rather wash the chicken with soap or left the chicken in the freezer so you couldn't have it that night?
No, that's what I was gonna say.
What's the levels of ass whoopings? What you think?
First of all, Taquan is on take the chicken out the freezer level. Like that's his level, right? Like washing the chicken. Because if you it also depends on the demographic or your race, ethnicity. Like that means all sorts of things. If you say, yo, wash the chicken. He clearly didn't know any of the offense. Exactly. He fumbled and bungled. So that's on her, right? Like
bad coaching.
Anybody who is a real person who cooks in the kitchen, like you don't want nobody else in the kitchen with you. Like that 2-man bob and weave pick and roll in the kitchen is not. It looks all cute when people do when they go on dates and they say, "Oh, we're gonna do the little cooking together type of thing." Maybe at a little like a restaurant type of event. But nah, man, not nobody. Thanksgiving, stay clear. It's just a one person show.
You boil the water, you pass me the seasonings, and you play DJ.
Yeah, pretty much. But yo, did she have to emasculate the dude like that? Like straight custom. I honestly think if that video camera wasn't on, he would have got his lip busted that night. I think that video said.
It's a possibility he still did, to be honest.
And I'm not laughing because I know that there's dudes that go through domestic violence situation, which he's clearly in. Like Taquan clearly needs to call a hotline because she said cut that video off, and that video was the only thing she bucked at him. She nuts if you bucked at him because I honestly think if the video wasn't on, she would have threw them pots on the floor, did all that. But then again, she probably realized Taquan don't know how to clean. And why was this nigga in his? All right, first of all, he don't know what he's doing,
and because he's the hardest job.
He's in. First of all, he's in the kitchen with his boxes. with his box, with just a straight box.
He is. Soapboxx fam, if you listening to us audio, he is in the kitchen with his boxers and some rubber gloves on. That's it, and his imagination.
Listen, man, it was probably one of the funniest videos I saw all week. And so I wanted to break that down. The reason I showed that is because I wanted to just have a conversation with you, my brother, where it's like brother, where this dude clearly needs a mentor. And it's like, do you think that men, right, young men, us growing up, are we equipped to be men and prepared as we should be for adult life?
What do you mean?
Because I think about it like this. We are now going into a generation where a lot of us were just raised by single mothers, and we don't have like these male figures, right? We don't have these male figures that have been a constant in our. We may know people, we may look up to athletes and certain people. We don't have these constant figures to teach us certain skills. Like, for instance, how many dudes, right, know how to really change out a tire?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
How many dudes know certain skills? Like, for me, besides like changing a tire or certain, like, knowing when I got to get an oil change, I don't really know shit about cars. I'm not one of those guys like, oh, that's a certain such a engine and it's revving, but I don't know. If you open up that, I don't really know nothing except the fluid goes here and this goes over here. That's about it. Mm-hmm. To get but like the throwback men were real masculine and real hands-on. Are we equipped to be in these type of situations? Because she's like, look, and the reason I say that is because Willow had a conversation on a Red Tabletop with her mother, Jada Pinkett Smith, right? Once again, it seems like it's an every week thing with them, right? She said that the mother, that Jada was harder on the daughters, on her, than she was on Jada. So my thing is that are we going into a generation where we are being babied to some degree, right? Or because we so want to prepare our women for the world that us as men, we're not as equipped as we should be. I know it's a layered question, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it is a layered question. I don't think that we are the first generation to be going through this. We're probably the second generation to be going through this. To answer your question, I think men naturally, for the most part, we have a desire to lead, right? So we are going to lead even if we are not fully equipped to lead. Mm-hmm. So I feel like we'll always take it on ourselves to do whatever skill set that we possess to lead, even if it may not be 100% the right way, or it may not be the way that traditionally have been done. Of course, I think there's always improvements that could be made when it comes to leadership, especially with men. I do also think that with us kind of getting into the situation, especially as Black men, us coming into our own as a community where you have these strong women being our counterparts, that I think leadership is going to look different because we know for a fact that women are equipped to lead. And now, of course, the housing dynamics is different between the household, and what you look at as leadership is different.
Do you still believe in gender roles? Like, do you believe, like, I know that there are some women that feel like that's offensive, like a man is supposed to be the head of the household. Like when I know we're both bachelors, right?
I am.
Yeah. So like, yes, I am too. Right. But, do you believe when you do get married, do you believe that, hey, a man is supposed to be the head of the household?
I do think that we still have a responsibility to lead. Yes. I do think that what we know as gender norms isn't necessarily healthy. And I think when I think of gender norms, I'm talking about just woman being domestic and a man just providing, right? I mean, it sounds good in theory, a man taking care of the bills and being financially responsible, and the woman taking care of the household. But it's not realistic nowadays with the cost of living, one. Two, you just have to kind of look at the stress that both parties are put under, because like I said, especially nowadays with the finances, putting a burden on one person to take care of not only themselves, but an entire family may not be realistic in this economy. It's not like it was a couple of decades ago. And then on the flip side, it's not fair to put the onus on the woman to be the only person, chipping in as far as household and parental duties, or at least the scales being tipped 70-30, because children are an absolute job in itself. So I do think that things are tipping in the way that we look at gender roles. But as a man, I do feel like I don't think that we'll necessarily lose our desire to lead. I just think leadership looks different. And I do think we're kind of in a transitional period. What about you?
No, to a degree, I do, right? So I believe that my belief is that a man is a provider, protector. Now, does that mean his partner, not his woman, because that's like ownership, his partner has to be like barefoot and pregnant? No, I've always said, and I think I've said it on the show before, like when I have a wife, I want to work hard enough so that she has the option to want to work. But that's mostly because when I have children, I want to have my children homeschooled up until, I believe, like first grade. You see what I'm saying? Because those are like your core years, right? Okay. So I want to be able to have, not saying that she wouldn't be able to have, that she's not going to have a business or other things going on. However, it's like, even if she wants to have a career, it's like, but I want her to be able, I'm working hard so that I can be financially stable enough so that she could have the option to say, look, you could have your career, whatever, but where people say you have to have that fuck you money, like I'm working to, I want to work towards that, where it's like you don't, because not only that, because I don't believe in the structure of just white corporate America. Like I've been there, done that. I don't think it works for me. Even in the media space, not that I don't play well with others, I do, but I don't do the whole code switching thing, right? So when you walk into a corporate America space, and I'm a bigger, black, unapologetic man. You see what I'm saying? So, heterosexual, big, black, unapologetic man, unapologetically black man. That's a difference. Like, it rubs people the wrong way, and certain vibes, and the way I talk, the way I speak, or whatever. I don't change up my voice and have how it sometimes it fluctuates. And like I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just tell you like it is, and let's be professional. Let's keep us moving. So I would like my wife to have that. But I've always believed that a woman is the nurturer. It's like they said, a man provides the home. A woman creates the home, the nurturer of that. So I definitely still believe that. But I don't believe in a situation where it's like, oh, happy, what do they call it? Oh, happy life. Yeah. So someone said, I forgot where I got it from, but somebody was like, nah. I think it was, I was watching like Married at First Sight, where they said happy house, happy spouse. Like I think sometimes we get that mixed up where, where people feel like it's really one-sided, but not talking about marriage and stuff. We could put that to the side because we're not, there yet. And both of us are married at the moment. You see what I'm saying? Unless you did something over the weekend, you didn't like get.
Listen, I haven't hollered at Elvis yet. I haven't eloped.
Got an elope, but it's more so like, yo, are we as men equipped? Because the world is changing. You have more women in leadership positions. You have more women that are out that are more vocal about what they want, what their needs, their careers and stuff. And it's almost like, and you have specifically black women who are more educated or have more education opportunities than black men in this country. Are black men actually equipped, right? And I thought about that. The reason I bring that up is because this week I announced that I'm on this Orange County task force, and we're supposed to be addressing. It was implemented by Mayor Jerry Demings. And I was asked by Commissioner Victoria Siplin here in Orange County. For those who listen to the Soapbox abroad, all our listeners over in England, shout out to you. Yes, we are. I'm based here in Orlando, and so I was asked. So whenever I'm asked, if I'm asked to serve, I'll serve. But as I'm, thinking about, gang violence and those type of things, I start thinking like, well, are we equipped to go out there or do we have the tools to succeed? Now, my story, I've grinded my life. I've been homeless. I've been, I've gone through a lot, and we've talked about it on the show. But I'm seeing as the younger generation, they don't have that grit. They don't have those skills. And I'm trying to think of one, when did it turn? And two,
well, I'm sorry. Before you get into that, when you say skills, just kind of specify that for the people.
Conflict resolution skills, right? As far as just like standard skills, it's just a lot. I can't say it any other. There's just a lot of bitch assness that I see when it comes to dudes, even just the way in which they carry themselves. It's just very soft, not being able to communicate, not being able to articulate themselves, not knowing certain things, general skills, whether it's changing a tire, putting a tie on, certain decorum of how I should operate. How do you actually date, right? Like it took me a while to find out, and yes, my dating style is a little different. We talk about that, but it took me a while to actually know, okay, the levels of dating. Like you don't treat someone who you're talking to like a girl you're dating, and the girl that you're dating as the girl who as your girlfriend, and you don't treat your girlfriend like your wife, right?
That's a controversial topic. We'll maybe we'll get into later.
What do you mean? What's controversial? What did I say? What is controversial about that?
I think it depends on. Of course, it depends on when you say treat someone. I think a lot of women get up in arms in regards to that because they feel like you are maybe withholding some humanity based upon a person's relationship. And just like I said, basic humanity, like you may not treat someone with a full level of respect just because of the give and take may not be what you want per se, So it's a thin line. I mean, of course, there's certain things, buying houses, buying property, sharing certain secrets, finances, and things like that come into play.
That's a big one.
When we're talking about treating someone differently. But, a lot of women have an issue with that take because, men just feel like they may not have to issue common courtesy because, the relationship isn't on the XYZ level, which less has to do with, which shouldn't have to do with what you guys' relationship are, just more so just human standard. That's from what I'm being told. So it's tricky when
I don't think but I don't think that that's offensive to say, look, if we're talking or we're dating, I'm not going to treat you like there has to be levels. Like there's a merit system. Nothing is given, everything is earned, even respect, right? There's a certain level of respect that I believe everyone should have. But when you get into the conversation of, as this is my mate, this is my helpmate, this is my partner, you're always earning that trust, daily. You shouldn't ever take it for granted. I think people just kind of want you to just hand it to them,
For sure. And there's definitely a level of, there has to be something special there in order for you to just have a sustainable relationship. You can't necessarily treat everyone the same, but we just kind of have to, I guess we just got to kind of keep in mind what we're talking about when we say, treating someone not necessarily less than, but just different. But I'm sorry, you were getting to a point as far as how men act nowadays. I didn't want to side rail off that because I thought that.
Okay, so I didn't let you know this, but this week I had a near-death experience. Yes, another one, a near-death experience. Driving on I-4 in Orlando, and my back right tire blew, literally disintegrated.
Jesus.
Like driving on 60, whatever, and heavy cars zooming by. But I'm driving, I'm thinking, I'm listening to my music because it was loud, and I'm thinking, yo, there's a helicopter. I'm like, yo, there's a helicopter. It sounded really close, so I turned down my music. And I look out, and I'm trying to look out to see the helicopter, and there's no helicopter. And I'm like, yo, then I'm starting to see some smoke. I'm like, okay, maybe my car's overheating or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I see a dude in the behind me flashing me, right? So I pull over so he stands behind me. I go to the side. I pull over to the side, luckily, because I was in the far left lane, right? Living my best life. And the fact that this black man, and his name is Tim, and I should have got his last name, but the fact that this black man who didn't know me, the fact that he stopped, right? And he put on his hazards when he was like, yeah, I saw your tire blow, right? He was like, you didn't hit nothing. He's like, I just saw your tire. He's like, I saw your tire blew, and I just got behind you and put my hazard lights on, right?
Yeah.
And we went to the side, and then I think roadside services came, changed the tire, boop the boop, head on to my date as planned. And so I was like, the epiphany was like, I don't think in life there are a lot of black men, and I could be wrong, and that's why I want anybody, you can comment, chime in, whether you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook. I don't think there's a lot of black men that have that in their life. Like, that's a metaphor to me. Like, I don't think that they have, whether it's older black men or just other black men, it's rare, right? Like, you and I were brothers, right? So I would hope that you know that you can call me and hit me up, for anything, right? And if I got it, if I have it, it's ours. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. But I was hard pressed to find a black male mentor or a black male figure a positive black male figure in my life for a good little while. You see what I'm saying? Like, who's that black man? And I want everybody who's listening, maybe this is just, posing the question, who's that black man in your life? Whether it's your father, it could be your father, because we didn't all grow up with single mothers. Who's that black man in your life that's going to go stand behind you and let you still guide your car, right? But he's going to put his hazards on to be like, yo, I got you. If something else, and the fact that this man was able to do that, and he didn't know me, he didn't want no money, he didn't want no nothing. He was like, yo, let's get this fare out, blah, 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 I'll help you. His name was Tim, and he just kept it moving. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I don't know, and I'm blessed now that I have a lot of folks. Well, I wouldn't say a lot of folks. There's a few black men, Dwight Bullard, Dr. Polite. I'm naming people off the top of my head. I have my cousin Sadiq. You see what I'm saying? That I like older men that I could be like, yo, if there's ever, and I had to hit up my cousin today on some dating tip, to figure out some information. But it's like, I don't think a lot, and I look at the Taekwon video and I was like, yo, I don't think a lot of dudes like have that. Yeah. And I think is it our responsibility to make sure that more young black men have a space to have, you know what I'm saying? Like, he would have, like, he could call somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It definitely is a couple of things. Is just going back to what you were saying as far as leadership is concerned. There are some intangibles that people have that cannot be taught, just as far as just the desire to want to be a leader. But what I've learned in growing is that a lot of things as far as leadership is concerned, as far as the nuances, depending on what you're dealing with, the arena that you're in, etc., they are things that are taught and can be learned if you're willing to work at it. Right. So leadership isn't just one of those, you kind of wake up. There's very few people that just wake up and they're natural born leaders. But if you are willing to work at it, I do think that there is ways that you can groom yourself to be a better leader, no matter who you are. Right. Yeah. And now, so I do think that we naturally, we were just kind of thrusted into the role because we're men. I do think that nowadays, especially knowing that our women are more than capable of leading, then we do have to sharpen our skills to make sure that we are being the best leaders that we can for our household. Because if not, like, the women are more than capable of doing it themselves, and they have been doing it themselves, especially black women. Now, especially,
I disagree with that. Not saying that they can't do it, but I resent that comment because no other community does that. Like, I don't see white people, white women, Hispanic culture. I don't see nobody else saying like, "Yo, white women can do it on their own," or black women, Hispanic women. Like, we're the only ones that kind of like our community is the only ones that tries to have this gender divide, and we're seeing it now even in the presidential election. Like, where they're constantly trying to create this gender divide as if black women can just do it on their own and don't need, like, if you're in a situation. I think Chris Rock had and I'm gonna let you finish your point. Chris Rock had a comedy bit where he was like about 2-parent households. He was like, if you're a single parent, and I'm paraphrasing, he was like, if you're a single parent, you can do it. You see what I'm saying? If you have to, but if you're like, but that doesn't mean it should be the norm, right? Yeah. Like, if you're flying a plane, there's 2 people flying the plane. You see what I'm saying?
For sure.
You shouldn't do things and expect it to be like the norm. So when people say, well, black women can do it, yes, black women are strong, and they're stronger than most, and they've had to be stronger than most. But I really don't like the whole, like, they can do as if like, as if black men are somewhat expendable in the equation when it comes to the family dynamic. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think that just to respond to that, I mean, when I say that they can do it on our own, I mean, I'm just speaking of the fact that, like, it's been at a necessity for a couple of decades. This is not something that I prefer. I'm sure it's not something that they prefer. It's something that nobody prefers. But just to be honest, and this is not, I don't want to stereotype all of our community, but I'm saying enough of them have been doing it and have figured out how to do it on their own. Now, and the only reason I bring that up is because anytime that you have anyone, whether it be man or woman, and I, even just me getting older and how, quote unquote, I guess, independent I am, I understand that if someone is going to come into my atmosphere, I need to be complimenting them. I need to be bringing something to the table that they not bring themselves, or that, they may be lacking, or, just being an additional piece to the puzzle and not a disruption. So when I say that, I'm just making sure that we as black men have accountability to be the best leaders of the household that we can, to create better households, and to be, equally yoked in a sense that we can create these generational dynamics in which we can pass down some game to the young brothers and the young sisters. Now, to what you said as far as the mentorship is concerned, another thing that I've realized is that the way that even, since not necessarily male figures are automatically in the household when men are growing up, I think it's getting now, like, the younger generation, the last 20 years, I think black men have been doing exceptionally better, just being present. But for the households that don't have that automatic leader, I think that we should teach the young people that it is okay to kind of seek some sort of mentorship and guidance. And then as an older person, you have to be—
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, you have to be willing to reach down and, look at a young brother and see yourself in a young brother, and not be shy to be like, yo, this is my number. If you need anything, let me know. I think that the way that, and this is something that we'll have to instill and just kind of teach to younger.
Do you feel comfortable reaching out to older black men?
Very
when you go
a couple, but very few. But and that's what I was gonna say.
And why is that?
And that's exactly what I was gonna get to.
Go ahead.
This is what I was gonna say. This is probably something that we kind of have to instill in a younger person. Is just kind of like a pride thing. Like it's like nobody dudes don't go out looking for friends, right? But
no,
so I don't. So it just doesn't happen. And I think the same way that we put an emphasis on, you may want to reach out to a chick, a pretty chick, because of, for lack of a better term, what you think that she can do for you, right? I think we have to be just as open in wanting to reach out and create relationships with older, more seasoned Black men because of their guidance, because of what game that they can give to you, right? I think it has to be taught that, listen, don't be shy to ask questions. Don't be shy to keep in contact with people who are like-minded or in positions where you may want to be, or et cetera, et cetera. But I do think that a part of that has to be taught, just because we're men and we're just not going to seek those relationships out, but we should. And I think that's the moral.
I think for me, early when I started, reaching, like I've always, like, for instance, when I was in Boston, grew up in Boston, I didn't have any. I was in the METCO program, so they took urban kids and shipped them over to suburban schools so we could have a better education, right? Because that's just facts. Like, they pay better taxes out there, whatever. It's a program. It's called the METCO program in Boston, Massachusetts, right? So, but I didn't have, even when I was in inner city going to school, I didn't have a Black male teacher until I went to an HBCU. You see what I'm saying? So I didn't have that. Of course I had older cousins, whatever. So, and uncle, you kind of pick things up as you go along. But in my professional career, my experience, and I think too many times this is what young Black males are finding, is that same thing, is what can you do for me? A lot of times when you want to seek guidance or you want to seek mentorship, a lot of Black males are being faced with, you think I'm like your indentured servant now. Like, you think that now, since I wanted your help or since I wanted you to mentor me, that it's almost like now I'm your sharecropper instead of being your little brother, right? And I think there's a lot of distrust when it comes to those type of dynamics of relationships. And not only that, it's, what I think it is? It's really hard for a man. I'll speak for me in my experience. Like, I can't have anybody, like the guys who I mentioned, who I would consider confidants, mentors, whatever. What they say and what they do and who they are all aligned. They match up. Like, they're not going to say one thing. They're not bullshitters, right? Like, they're not going to say one thing, at least to me that I've seen, right? I'm not saying that everybody's perfect, but it's like their morals, their values, what they stand for, like, that's big with me. Like, having that integrity, like that track record, is real dope to look at and see. And I think a lot of times the distrust comes from you looking up to somebody, and the next thing you know, it's like, damn, I didn't know that this person had them, 5 damn baby mamas, and they doing all sorts of scandalous shit on the side.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? And not to throw any particular situation under the bus, but I find that often to be the case with young Black males growing up in the church, right? Because we and I, as a person who grew up in the church halfway as well, we do kind of see, even before we are of age to kind of like understand what mentorship is, or understand not right from wrong, but just kind of like what your personal morals and principles are. We do see hypocrisy a lot of times from the people that are held to the highest standard by everyone in your community, right? So it kind of just is like, I understand I'm supposed to be looking up to this person. I understand that nobody's perfect, but at the same time, if I'm looking for some sort of mentorship, like this, whether he knows it or not, I already understand the skeletons in the closet, which isn't necessarily a bad thing once you get older, because you kind of understand that a lot of times people's skeletons and experience makes them wonderful mentors. But while you're an adolescent and you're kind of just unfortunately looking for some sort of perfection, and that you're not going to find right there, then you start looking, to other things. But also I do think that a lot of hesitation with black males, older black males, to reach out to younger people or be a mentor, or sometimes it's hard for them, is because a lot of them do just feel like, and speaking from experience, that they just may not have a lot to offer because they're still trying to figure their shit out. So they still underestimate their intelligence. They may underestimate the game that they can give to somebody because they're still going through a bunch of shit of their own. So it's kind of like, bro, it's like, what do I like? What can I really tell you? And so a lot of people just only end up relegating information that sometimes it's bad information. They may only talk to the young generation about relationships and women and shit like that, and a lot of shit that a lot of times is bad advice, to be completely honest. I think a lot of the game that we got and a lot of the views that we got as far as the dynamic between men and women just comes from bad game from generations and generations of men that didn't necessarily know what they were doing, not to no fault of their own, because like I said, it was just game that was passed down. So I think there's definitely a lot of different layers. But I still wanted to get back to what you said about the men nowadays. Like, what do you think is the biggest difference between maybe now and maybe 20 years ago for people in a younger age group, whichever what you were referencing earlier, as far as how they carry themselves, or like,
I mean, for me, I really think that I think mental health is a big issue, and I think we don't have those spaces where we can talk. But I think of the younger generation, it's like we're exposed to so much more now with social media than we ever were. And I think that we, as a society, we haven't really looked into how the negative effects of that. Like you're getting a lot of information. That whole, like, whether even like being that whole woke thing, or like you're seeing certain images. It used to just be on TV, right? Like internet used to just be like, okay, you got a research paper, you research looking up stuff. Now, online is like your entertainment, everything is online, and you're bombarded with Twitter, Facebook, people's opinions, stuff. Like, you're bombarded every day with certain images and depictions and different programming. And I think it chips away at our mental toughness as men, right? Because even myself, like I was telling you, like, yo, for 2.5 weeks, like, there's certain things that are going on with me, but like I really felt like I was like, sometimes I can get depressed and feel like I am in quicksand. Like, it's whether it's hard to get out of bed or it's hard to actually do certain tasks. Like, it was literally, and y'all know it, like, it was literally hard for me to do the podcast. Like, it was hard for me to like, and was like, and the podcast gave me that jolt of energy. Like, okay, fine. Like, I went as far back as to, and not all the male figures, like Victor Collazo, right? Victor Collazo's former student government advisor for both me and Alan, where we were in student government here at Valencia College. But I had multiple conversations with him, and we probably talked more this year than I've had. We probably talked more this year than probably when I was in student government, because it used to be just like
business.
Yeah, straight business. But his style of mentorship was more like trial by fire. Like, I'm not going to get in your way. I'm going to let you fall. But I hated it because everybody else, remember, they had their advisors who were like hands on, and I was like, hey, can we do this? He's like, no. But then there's other times we were like, yo, can we do this? He's like, yeah, sure, why not? And that was it. But now we're actually having more, conversations, and like, it took him to kind of remind me of like, yo, let me remind you of where you came from and like the strides you take, because sometimes you can get stuck. There's a scene in Ocean's 13 where I forget the character's name, but he's lying in bed and they have to write him letters to kind of remind, like, you needed that reminder of who you are to kind of get because self-doubt can creep into your psyche. And I think as men, like, the world is always telling us, like, yo, you ain't shit. You ain't, so, this is what you're either going to be in prison. There are black males being shot. There's, by police, we're being targeted. And it's like, it chips away at our mental toughness. And it's like, sometimes, even for me, and I consider myself a mentally tough dude and someone who can really take on a lot and do for people. But there are certain times where you're at your capacity. Yeah. And it's like, and it's perceived, and even in relationships, that if you don't have a significant other, right? And this is probably where black women get that whole being so strong. It's like, we take our stuff and pour it onto and I've noticed I did that in my past relationship. You pour on your problems, whatever. You just kind of unload. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? On your partner. And then when you unload on your partner, you may be like, oh, okay, I'm good. She's good. Thank God she listened to me. Now she's got her transfer. Correct. She's got her shit. Yep. She's got your shit. And then she's also got the plight of being, whether she's was a black woman or whatever, she's got the plight of that on top of it. Mm-hmm. And so long term, it's a recipe for disaster, because now here you are feeling like, yo, we have a good relationship, we communicate, and then you have like at the end where she's like, yo, I'm tired. You really need a therapist. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think we need to, that whole movement of making sure that we have more social services, more mental health counselors available, and destigmatizing mental health is something that, as we move forward past, the pandemic, we need to, those are one of the things that we need to put on the agenda items. But I do want to say, go ahead.
I agree. While we're on those topics, I want to just shout out two things. One, shout out to Royce the 5'9". So Royce the 5'9" actually recently launched a program that allows youth in his city around Detroit to get free mental health care services. And if I'm not mistaken, he actually he was able to get some sessions free via, I believe it's Medicaid or something like that. So I do apologize. I'm just going off the top. I don't have all of the details, but I know that he just launched it. So shout out to Royce the 5'9" for making essentially therapy accessible to underprivileged black youth and black people in general in Detroit. So shout out to him. And two, there's a cool little YouTube page called Dad, How Do I? So it's an older white gentleman. He didn't grow up with a father. So he created a YouTube page just doing super, super simple stuff. How to change a tire, how to put a drill together, how to swipe out a car battery, how to use a step white daddy. What?
A step white daddy?
Yes, it says and they're like,
super white dad. He's got you covered.
He's right there. Yeah, like how to unclog a bathtub, like super super simple stuff that a lot of people, they just don't know because they didn't have nobody to teach them. So yeah, the YouTube page is called Dad, How Do I? So shout out to him for putting that together.
Yo, I like that. Yo, speaking of male figures.
Oh Jesus.
Former President Barack Obama came to Orlando this week.
Heard you had some smoke for him.
Huh? Yo.
I have some smoke for him.
Yeah, I did have some smoke, and a lot of people didn't like what I had to say, so I'm going to repeat it just so I can put it on wax. All right? Listen, when I was coming up in college, the reason why Obama broke, and I think this is true for a lot of young black males, he broke that glass ceiling. I never knew. I was student government president. I was in SGA, but I never thought I had any sort of like stake or claim in politics. But Obama made me believe. I was one of those, we can do it. Hope, change. Yes, we can. We can do it.
Yeah.
Go out and make a difference. And I was like, you know what? I can make a difference. I'm really listen. So I got into it, and plus I had the skill or whatever. But I was like, you know what? It was that belief. He broke that glass ceiling. So all of his speeches, I listened to Michelle speak. I listened to Obama speak. I used to be, I was into it. I drank the Kool-Aid like with a cup. I was like, oh my God. You can't give me enough.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, just to interject with a hip hop reference. JayZ said that sometimes like my presence is a gift. So sometimes just me not doing anything, but just showing up can unlock someone's belief to make them feel like they can do whatever they want to do. And sometimes that's just enough. Just you're being. But go ahead.
But he came to Orlando this week, and I listened to his speech. I didn't go because I didn't get the invite. Kamala Harris came, and I got the secret invite, and then I didn't show up. So I guess I didn't get the email no more. They ice cubed me. They took me off the list immediately.
Who's this guy think he is?
Yeah, they took me off the list. I'm like, yo, y'all sent me a link for 4:30. Talk about the deadline is 5:00, and y'all need my license plate number. And also, I said, okay, this is one of them janky half, but it's okay, whatever, But anyway, he went and he spoke, and his message was just on voting. It's just like, I get he's doing a stump speech, and you're talking about, oh, well, Trump is the boogeyman, and he is out there, and he's trying to take your health care away, and he inherited. It was so much. The country was so much worse, and it was better. And when he said it was better, I was like, nigga, for who? Like, is it better? Honestly, is it better for Black America? Like, you were there for 8 years, bro, and we didn't have. There's no punitive legislation to protect Black Americans. I have even went to the Biden-Harris campaign and told them, like, yo, I told them about it. I tried to work with them for a campaign for Black men. We'll talk about that on another episode post-election. But another thing was like, yo, if Joe Biden wants to reach out to Black men, say you're going to pass or work with Congress, you're influential, right? Mm-hmm. To pass some punitive, I know how government works, to pass punitive legislation, an executive order, something to protect Black Americans from being racially targeted by race soldiers who are infiltrating law enforcement agencies to racially harm Black Americans, right? Mm-hmm. But without doing anything to protect us as Black Americans, but Democrats and Obama, you need our vote, despite the crime bill, despite Kamala Harris's record, despite people not. Your message is just hope, more change, more get out. Just get out and vote. Just get out and vote. It's a sacred right. And it's just like, to me, it fell on deaf ears. I felt like it was tone deaf. It was probably one of the most tone deaf, because Black Americans out here are asking for tangible resources. And we're not asking for anything more than what other groups are asking for. They all want their resources too, right? But anytime—
What name these groups?
We're talking about LGBTQ. We're talking Latino community. We're talking women's rights groups, feminists, all different plethora of groups. You understand? The different groups.
Yeah.
Right?
But I feel like—
So my thing is this. So a lot of people, there's some people that said, well, I'm gonna you said something mean about Obama, so I gotta unfriend you. Where is the lie? What has Obama done? And it's not a big, I get it, his time has passed. But the message of just telling Black folks, and I know we're in early voting now, I know in the state of Florida, the message to just tell Black folks to just go out and vote without telling them not even telling them, without any tangible resources, is just the most tone-deaf betrayal. You see what I'm saying? That you can do to our community, a community that came out and Black. That's the misconception. Black folks, Black women, Black men, we are coming out and voting. Don't say like we're not. We are. Most of these cities where we're having all of these unarmed black men and black women being shot are in Democratic cities. So we are voting. We are politically engaged. So when you see a group of people, and it's not like you can't do it, because we see LGBTQ rights being protected. We see other immigrant groups being protected, and people fight. So to just tell me that you can't do nothing, or look, it can't work both ways. Trump can't be the boogeyman that has all this authoritative power with executive orders and all that stuff that he's abusing. He can't be that. And then on the same breath, you tell me, well, there's nothing Obama could have done. So not to mention, he was up on stage with a bunch of people in Orlando who are doing the shit that he's talking about Trump is doing. Like, read the room, bro. Somebody should have handed him a packet, a pamphlet, or something to be like, hey, maybe we shouldn't stand next to this person whose community or their district is in disarray, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we literally had I keep saying literally. There's a black man shot at the Florida Mall. We had another black youth, well, he's in their 20s, who was hung by a tree. We still trying to figure out whether or not it was suicide or whether or not it's white supremacists, right? In Orlando, you're giving a speech at Tinker Field, that was a historic place that Martin Luther King gave us his famous speech when he came to Orlando. Guess what they did at Tinker Field? They tore it down. The same place where it's now a parking lot. Yeah. It's now a parking lot. And guess what? There's like a little commemorative little wall that says, hey, this was the famous Tinker Field or whatever. But you're giving a speech of a historic monument that's not even there anymore because of the gentrification. And this is going on in Orlando, but it's also going all over the damn place. Mm-hmm. And so to give the same message, it was the same speech that he gave. And I'm telling you, I was Obama head. The same speech he gave in 2007 on the campaign trail, 2012. So I was really miffed to say the least about that, and just kind of like the shtick is up, bro. And but go ahead.
I think all of these rallies right now I don't think people are.
I think it's a panic, man.
I think everyone knows at this point, for the most part, 90% of people knows who they're voting for, right? These rallies are just marketing campaigns, which is probably why he doesn't go into and he's not the nominee. So I don't really expect him to go to these rallies and start talking policy, right? Because at that point, you're getting yourself in a sticky situation because you're not going to be nowhere near the White House.
It's not about policy. It's about humanity. You were the glass breaker. You think Hillary Clinton is going to get on a stage and not talk about national security? She's Secretary of State. She's not going to talk. You think she's not going to talk about national security or women's rights? She's going to talk about that. You're the first ever African-American president. You don't think? First of all, they're not talking about black issues at these debates like that.
They're not, so, and that's my thing though.
So when you're on the stage, why? If you're trying to the campaign said they're trying to what? Get black men to come out and vote. Trying to mobilize black peoples because they really don't want Trump to get more than 14% of the black male vote. You have President Barack Obama, the first ever African American man to be president of the United States. And your speech was just hope, change, go vote.
Yeah. Obama has always been who he is. So
who's that?
Obama has always been the vote person. He's been the grassroots person. He's been, if you want some shit done, you need to go out into your community to do it. He's never been, and though there has been times when I've heard him being vulnerable about his experience about being a black man. I can specifically remember 2 times when the riots happened in 2014 and a couple years later with the Freddie Gray thing. And he actually caught a lot of heat for that for whatever reason. But for the most part, Obama is his speeches, who he's talking to, how he's talking to these people has not changed. And I understand that us as a community, we expect more out of him because we expect him to speak more as far as the Black experience is concerned and what ideally not. Huh? Of course. But I'm saying that our expectations has changed. He hasn't changed.
Yeah. Well,
so
he
it's not like he's regressing. He's the same. The messaging has always kind of been in line with what he has been as a politician in general, because at the same time, Florida is a swing state. I definitely don't expect him to come down here, unfortunately, and prioritize us, as crazy as that sounds, because you run a chance of alienating the majority of the state, for lack of a better term, because we know that Florida is what maybe not population, but county wise is 80% red, 20% blue.
Is you want to vote, and this is why I said, and I also said this that got some heat. I say, and a lot of people agree, Black Americans don't owe the Democratic Party a damn thing. Not nothing. Like nothing. We don't owe them nothing. Like
we don't know
what's going
on. Of course not.
In Philly, right? I don't have all the details to that, but you mean to tell me you just gonna shoot a man? I saw a news article this week where a police dog, right? A guy, I guess it was burglary, and but they charged him with the police dogs. He was a kidnapping, burglary, and death of. He shot the police dog, right? And like, dude got 20. I think he got 25 years. Amber Geiger got 10 years from busting in someone else's house where she didn't belong, and got 10 years. And then they were hugging her afterwards. You mean? And then somebody was like, "Well, you must not be a dog person." It ain't got nothing to do with not being a dog person. It has to do with how is the dog more apt to get justice more than myself as a black American? That's excessive. That's real. That's excessive. And the fact that a dog is more protected, honestly, if a Black American is brutalized in the street, you will have white folks look at that and justify it, and like, well, we don't know all the facts, we don't know what happened, if it was provoked or blah 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 blah. They'll come all in. If someone is beating a dog in the street, they want that guy lynched today. They want him incarcerated, and so it's like that's what we're dealing with. And so when we deal with those type of plights with a corrupt criminal justice system that's rigged and slanted, it's not. Lady Justice is not blind. She knows she's peeking. She knows exactly what she's doing. I think this election cycle, I'm extremely disappointed, and I'm ramping up because I want to hear your prediction, because I know we're next time we're on air will be after the presidential election. So I'm extremely disappointed at how Black Americans were depicted in this or addressed in this presidential election cycle. Even on the soapbox, I didn't do much this election cycle because it's like, what is there to talk? If we're not even going to be the topic of conversation and then when you reach out to campaigns or you try to like, hey, get back, and they're just like, nah, we're gonna do little baby, we're gonna do the Divine Nine, and I'm a part of a fraternity myself, but that don't affect every other American, like hip hop rappers and celebrities. Like that was it. Like you're not hitting the grassroots folks. You're not. So, and it's the same formula that I've seen for the Hillary Clinton campaign, the Andrew Gillum campaign, and so forth and so on.
I have a question though.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you feel like, and I've said this a couple times, do you feel like the reasoning for that is because given the outcome of the last election, that certain powers that be feel like they actually don't they know actually just numbers wise is that they don't necessarily need the black vote to win.
Because
Trump did. I mean, if you're getting less than 10% of the black vote, and you were able to kind of calculate your way to win without it, I've thought about that often. If they're just kind of playing that game as well.
No, I think Trump is banking on. Why do you think Trump keeps the hugging up and promoting black men, talk about black men? He knows that if he gets a high demographic of black men to vote, he's going right back in there, and that's why they're prefacing it with this gender divide, so that black men can be the scapegoats after the election, right? If there's more than 14, 15, 16% of black men that vote for Trump, he's got a good shot of getting right back in there. That on top of white women have always, to me, I don't trust white women at the polls, because white women have always, historically speaking, anytime white women have had an opportunity to take their part to dismantle white supremacy or to not go against the power structure, they have always chose the power structure.
Of course, they're always gonna go with the household.
Yeah, there'll be more. There will still be this after 4 years of Trump. There will still be more white people that vote for Trump than Joe Biden. Think about that.
For sure, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like even like what Trump is doing, he's still doing pandering. But anything that he gets from black men or black people is just a bonus.
Yeah.
But of course, he's far from his target demographic. And I do think that.
So who do you think? Put on your. What do you think happens Tuesday, or actually Wednesday? Wednesday, we waking up to Donald Trump still president.
I don't know, man. I think that I'm gonna go Biden, and I'm gonna go extremely hesitantly. I think he's gonna flip a couple of states that. I think he's going to get a couple of states that Hillary wasn't able to get, and those will kind of be the turning point. I think, I think he's definitely going to get the popular vote. I don't think that's a question in my head. I think right now the Trump campaign is definitely playing.
The president we have now is not popular at all.
At all. So, yeah. And he wasn't before. I don't think that. I think they're definitely playing the electoral college game right now. But I think, if Biden can get just maybe 2 more states than Hillary did, I think that he'll be in good shape. But I would not in the least be surprised if we got this idiot for the next
Trump
year.
You think he was bad for 4 years? Just know how bad is he gonna be if he decides if he's like, yo, I don't have another election to run. I can just do what I want to do. Y'all can't say
I'm already impeached. Y'all can't. What?
Yo, I'm already impeached. Y'all already impeached.
What do you do?
Yo, it's just take. I already put my Supreme Court justice in. That's done.
Listen, it's gonna be a mess, and it's not even gonna be a mess like. It's not even gonna be like a slow, gradual mess. Like it's gonna be a mess. November 5th.
Yeah, he'll definitely ramp it up. Like he will ramp it up when it comes to
But how do you feel? You think the Senate will flip by any chance?
I believe so. I believe so. That's the Democrats' only saving grace if Trump gets in there.
I wonder how a house. I wonder how a house and a blue house and a Senate with Trump in the White House kind of looks. Because we got
that's the only checks and balance, right? That they have. That's their only play. But if it's Trump in there, you gotta listen, man. I have a Republican disaster, Ron DeSantis. If I have a Republican governor, Trump back in office, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House.
It's nasty. It's nasty. But I'm seeing a couple of good things. It's looking like, well, I don't even know. I can't even say it's looking like. I know there was a viral clip of the debate of the senator of Georgia, I believe it was, being called out for, voting to strip preconditions on the ACA and downplaying coronavirus and fattening his pockets during all of this. It got a lot of coverage.
I do think the narrative after the election, the narrative on coronavirus is going to change. I do think
what,
I think it's going to be more shutdowns, and I think he's going to take it more seriously now that he doesn't have to worry about, because if whether Trump wins or whether Biden wins, I think they're going to say, okay, enough of the political posturing. We actually got to get through this thing. So now, like, whatever the doctors and the scientists or the people who are smarter than way smarter than me who are looking into this thing, whatever they say, they're going to be like, all right, at least we got to get that taken care of. Like this whole like,
yep. I think this whole economy, stock market, I don't think they give a fuck.
The thing is, because he didn't want to, I don't think he wanted people, like people kept saying like, yo, this is all your fault. This is all your, and he's like, no, he can't. He's like, look, I got to double down now. You know how he is, like, yo,
yeah,
make that it's all, you know. But now that if he's back in there, he has there's no checks and balance for him to a degree. So he's gonna be like, all right, we gotta do the, you know, because if that's the case, but I do think people are gonna hit them streets though. I think it's gonna be massive, like these protests I think are gonna get a lot nastier.
Do you even think that? Do you think they even call it that night?
No, that's why I said Wednesday.
Do they call it Wednesday?
I look at the map. If I see Rachel Maddow like this, if she's holding her head, like shaking her head, like if Tucker Carlson and what's the other guy and Sean Hannity are like, well, see you tomorrow. But like if they sound chipper, then I'm like, okay, I'll read the temperature of the room, man. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be dangerously close, to be honest with you.
And it shouldn't be. And the thing is that if and that's my point, if the black community was in our votes were more respected, this would have been a landslide. There are people who I'm politically astute, and if I could have crumpled up my ballot and just threw it to submit it, you know what I'm saying? Like there are people who I know who are politically astute that are like, nah, I don't want to vote. I'm not motivated to vote. I don't care about either one of these two people. I'm not feeling Kamala Harris. I think Trump is an idiot. Like on both, like they just don't, you know. So we'll see. But they said that there's been increase in voter turnouts in certain areas. I've seen long lines, and I think they said more people have voted at this juncture than they did in 2016, right? So we shall see. But hey, man, let's hit them with the moral. What's your moral of the story, bro?
Oh man, the moral of the story is reach down and reach up. See who you can help and seek people that can help you. Wash your hands, wash your ass, and the corona is not over because you're tired of it. So love.
Yes. Yo, speaking of that, real quick, did you know Orlando has decided to sell alcohol in the streets for a Halloween weekend?
I saw that, which is dope. They just should have started doing that a while ago.
But I mean, the streets are gonna be packed, so it's gonna be a Rona party. I'm gonna be inside, but I get it.
I mean, listen, to be honest,
trying to make sure that people aren't inside the bars of itself, and there's more space for people to spread out. But nah, I'm good.
It's gonna be outside, and it's Halloween, so everyone should have a mask on, festive or not. So I think you guys will be happy.
Man, it's Halloween.
I'd be inside, but you know.
Yeah, people are dressing up, just dressing up slutty, male and female. That's all it is. But hey, my moral of the story is this. I think everyone, whether you are that person to someone else or whether you need that person, I think we all need people to be our guardian angels. I'm thankful for that guy Tim that was behind me, because Lord knows what would have happened if I had not heard that sound, or I was just even though that happened, I was very calm. Like it didn't spark, it didn't anything, but like my tire it just shredded. I wish I took a picture of it. Just shredded. And so for someone like myself that is, I mean, I don't know. I've had a lot of near-death experience. I just had my car was totaled 2 years ago? Or,
Yeah.
2 years ago, suicide attempt. Like, so clearly if I'm having these experiences, I'm here for a purpose. So while you're here on this earth, you might as well leave your mark if God's got you here. So appreciate every day that you have, and make sure that you are equipping yourself with the right tools to succeed in life. And it always starts with you. Like, you have to start with your mindset to say, you know what, fuck it. Despite my circumstances, despite who believes in me, despite any of these obstacles or whatever foundation, you got to just make sure that you ride for yourself and ride till the wheels fall off. Literally. All right. So for Alan, for and big shout out to the ladies,
Yes.
Divine family, and JayZ, who was dealing with the death of her family. It shows you about appreciating people. Ladies, we love you. Appreciate y'all. Can't wait for y'all to get back. Take the time that y'all need. We're holding down the fort like good brothers are supposed to. And for Alan, for TJ Legacy, for Giovanni, for JayZ, this is the Soapboxx Podcast. We will see you on the flip side of the apocalypse after the November election. We are out. Peace.